Oh, god damn.
Feels like it's been ages.
Hello everyone, Lord here. Welcome back to Shadowverse. Today we're going to be talking about the balance changes coming in the October 29th update. But wait, didn't Cygames schedule this for another date? Well, they did, but apparently they've decided now is the time to take action. In case you're not familiar with how things stand in the meta prior to this, feel free to check out my previous video which ranks the current popular decks into tiers and briefly goes over each of their functionalities. Anyway, there's a lot happening here, so let's dive straight in. Change number 1, Weathered Vanguard's Enhance effect will now summon Heavy Knights instead of Steel-clad Knights. So Steel-clad Knights are 2/2s and Heavy Knights are 1/2s, so I assume this is a take-2 nerf for Swordcraft. I'm not much of an arena player, so I can't speak as to how impactful this is going to be, but color me surprised that Cygames is going after a common card solely for its take-2 power. Guess it was pretty busted. Change number 2. Arthur, Night King's cost will be increased from 7 to 8, and its attack/defense will be increased from a 2/6, that is an evolved 4/8, to a 3/7, that is an evolved 5/9. Well, Arthur has been an obvious powerhouse 3-up staple in mid-range sword ever since he was printed, and I think a lot of older players already had him starred and were hoarding copies in anticipation of the inevitable change, so no real surprise this happened. As I mentioned in my meta overview, mid-range sword is currently a tier 1 deck, so hitting its strongest late-game tool seems like a good move. The increased stat trade-off is appreciated, but with Arthur's cost now clashing with both Sky Fortress and Latham, both of which were played, I think Sword's going to have to rethink their general composition. I don't think Arthur's going anywhere, but it's very likely some of those other late-game cards just got perma-benched. As a side note, I saw some people calling for Apostle of Usurpation to have its cost increased, as it was a very easy turn 6 tempo swing into Arthur, but I guess just hitting Arthur is easier, huh? Change number 3. Galmew, Omen of Disdain's post-evolution effect will be changed. So basically this limits Galmew to only shooting once per turn, which effectively means she will only shoot once in general, as the card has a massive bullseye on its face. This impacts all current Dragoncraft builds significantly, as being able to both clear wide boards and also deal significant face damage through repeated triggers was Galmew's strongest feature. As an added benefit, the Omen of Disdain can now much more realistically be taken out by multiple smaller followers, as now that won't automatically mean losing half of your health pool. Puppet users, rejoice! I doubt this change is significant enough to warrant actually cutting Galmew, but it will definitely impact the Disdain package's current auto-include status and will make her significantly less backbreaking when she does actually come into play. Change number 4. Gremory's Enhance effect cost will change from 6 to 7. Yet another hit straight into the heart of tier 1. We're 3 for 3 so far, with mid-range Shadow boasting a pretty impressive amount of tools, allowing them to both create wide boards and punish opponents for not completely wiping those boards. It is about time one of them got hit. With this change, not only is turn 6 significantly less stressful when playing against Shadow, but it also has Gremory somewhat clashing with both Arcus and Gilnelis for an on-curve play. And this reduces the ability for the popular late-game Ghosts plus Gremory combo to chunk you down from 13 health down to 10 health. While I doubt this little girl is going anywhere, I definitely appreciate the fact that this is going to at least partially hinder the currently very quick and efficient Shadow mid-range builds. Change number 5. Flores' Invocation effect will be modified. Ah, here's another tier 1 hit. Cygames seems to really be on point with this balance patch. The change may seem minor, but it's actually a very clever way to reduce Bloodcraft's somewhat ridiculous high rolls. I doubt Flores is going anywhere, but with his fat body not being able to come down on turn 2 or even worse, turn 1, and completely stomp opponents who happen to have not drawn their early removal, a Bloodcraft's self-harm build is now far more reliant on their actual namesake card to win. And speaking of that, change number 6. Dark Feast Bat's cost will be increased from 7 to 8. And that's 4 for 4, one key legendary hit in every single one of the current tier 1 builds. I'm not sure if we hit the jackpot or Cygames just had enough of smaller and sometimes inefficient changes, but we've now definitely got a meta shaker of an update. Combining Flores' lowered ability to carry the game on his own with Dark Feast Bat having to come down a whole turn later, we now have a lot more opportunities for counterplay. Whether it's getting your reduced damage from each attack tech card down in time, countering with aggression, or simply getting your own win condition online before the opponent, with Bloodcraft now being a guaranteed turn slower and much more comparable to other combo win conditions like Giant Chimera, we may just see this build completely dethroned. As Bloodcraft's only currently viable build, Dark Feast Bat may survive through persistence or changes in the list, but I seriously doubt it's staying at tier 1 after this. Change number 7. Yggdrasil's cost will be decreased from 7 to 6. Is that a buff? Well, color me surprised. It seems those buffs in the past weren't just a one-time show thing. I'm not sure if this singular change can bring Forestcraft back from the hole they're currently in, but between the rumors of mid-range forest being a thing, and more importantly, Yggdrasil's produced cards now being accessible a full turn earlier, we might just see not only a drop in popularity for the tier 1 builds, but also a rise in popularity for tier 3 and lower builds. Now, where's that "buffs in card games are pointless" quote from Blizzard? I need to make a meme. Change number 8. Godsworn Alexiel's cost will be decreased from 8 to 7. And speaking of tier 3 builds, here's Havencraft. While not an essential piece of any builds, Alexiel is one of the keys to Haven's late game strategies as she protects from both combo win conditions and big stormers. Mirrorblade Waifu has always been a personal favorite of mine, but with her previous cost it was not only difficult to play her alongside other cards, but also simply too late in certain situations, for example against Dark Feast Bat, which prompted a lot of players to swap her out for the newly printed Realm of Repose. With her new cost, she is now not only significantly easier to play on curve, but also provides a not so terribly understated ward body, or at least not as terrible as before. I personally feel that Haven has a lot of problems when it comes to competing in the current meta, but improving their counterplay tech cards is always a good change in my mind. I'm not sure this will be enough to push the craft into serious competitive viability, but with all the top dogs getting hit and a lot of late game win conditions getting pushed back a turn, it's not out of the question to think Eris might just start liberating people again. And that, in a nutshell, are my thoughts about the upcoming changes. Personally, I'm pretty hyped, as the update seems like a serious meta shakeup. Between hitting top builds, nerfing legendaries, generally pushing win conditions back a turn, and even buffing cards, I think we're in for a treat on the 29th. What do you think? Are these changes enough to seriously shift the current tiers around? Do you feel like Cygames missed anything? Are you excited about the prospect of buffs? Or are you just rubbing your hands because of those 10 extra copies of Arthur you've been hoarding all this time? Let me know in the comments. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Lord, and this has been Shadowverse. Thanks for watching.